Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. We have a loaded episode today. Today's episode is brought to you by the Cruise Content Library. We have officially 100 travel advisors inside, and I am so stinking excited. I cannot wait to welcome you inside the Cruise Content Library when it is the right time for you. I have never done an episode like this before where I've kind of pitched an idea to different people that I work with within the industry, and they just filmed little snippets on their own. And so this is like a collaborative podcast episode. And I thought this was a really important topic because I know we talk a lot about AI, and there will be some mention of AI in some of these snippets here. But we talk a lot about AI helping us work faster and smarter, but we haven't really addressed that other part of it, that because AI is working to make you more efficient, this is where you can put more of the humanity and more of yourself into your process and into your client experience. It's really, how can you ultra personalize these trips and these experiences so that it is a no-brainer for a travel client to come to you and ask you to be their travel advisor and decide to work and hire you. So I mentioned last week, I think I mentioned here, if I didn't mention here, I definitely mentioned in my email and in social media that I was going to be attending Cursed Child, which is a play production. It's a Harry Potter play production. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I have actually never gone to see a play. And one of the reasons, aside from obviously, liking the Harry Potter stories and all that, the biggest reason that I went is because I know that they have this really great experience within the show. Now, full transparency, I was a little bit disappointed because I don't think they do it in the touring. I think that's more of a New York City type thing. And of course, I'm not heading to New York anytime soon, though I really want to, because I want to see the revival of chess that's happening now. I know I just went on a side quest here, but I just had to let you know. If anybody else is nerding about the chess revival, let me know. Let's nerd out in the Instagram DMs together. But if I was going to New York anyways, I would not see Cursed Child. There's a bunch of other shows that I want to see. But what really stood out when I was watching Cursed Child is I felt a certain way. Again, I've never been to a play, and this obviously is a very unique play on its own. And that's kind of where I want to center around, is that feeling, because there's certain feelings that your clients have on their trip, and just the effects of this show, I don't know how they were possible. But they were clearly possible because I saw them. My jaw was dropped many times because I was just in disbelief. And there were so many moments throughout the show that I started to get a little emotional, not because of the show, but because the intense feeling of awe and oh my gosh that I was getting is the same feeling that clients get from you from the stellar trips that you plan. And that's the feeling that you want to make sure that they're having. Not that it's just this standard client experience, you book the trip, send them their documents and all that, but how are you going to stand apart so that they have a stellar experience that they could have never imagined? Because that's just the sentiment that I got this whole performance. I don't know how they're making this happen, but they're making this happen. And a lot of that translate in the travel agency space is you have incredible connections within the industry that you can make these magical moments. I know, cliche and all, but you have this capacity to have magical moments happen for your clients. you need to like really put that at the forefront, because if you want to especially differentiate yourself from the machines and people being able to do travel planning themselves, this is going to be the area that you do. It's going to be especially the tiny details. And like I'll never forget, like in the show, they obviously have like their wizard and their witch coats, and they're whipping them around as they're changing the scenes. That is just one small detail that kind of like there was a fluidity of the performance that I obviously I can't articulate it very well here, but there was a fluidity, and part of that fluidity and the smoothness of the transitions and the smoothness of what was happening in the scenes, that was just one little thing. And it's a simple thing that can be done, just like we're just gonna flick the cape over my shoulder, or however it was exactly that they did it. And probably for you, you don't know how that stage magic happens. I don't know how that stage magic happens, but they do know, and they've been able to perfect it, performance over performance. And that, like, I don't think I can completely like put out there how those little details can mean everything to your client or to me as somebody who loves going to theater and just loves being in awe. So, what are some of those tiny details? But also, there are some larger aspects that you can really put into emphasis to make sure that your clients are having out of this world amazing, ultra personalized experiences. I have 8 of my pals coming on. There's Dana Zifiksik, who is from Guts Grit Goals. Marcy Munsterman, many of you know her, the No BS travel advisor. Sahara Rose DeVore of the Travel Coach Network. Stephanie Grice of Travify. Lori Gold of Mexperts. We have Roz Rance of Travel Agent Achievers. Kate from Travel Pro Theory. And we also have Angelique Johns of Wanderlux Collection. So I'm just going to play their snippets back to back, and I will join you back at the end of this. Now, pro tip for you, if you are on my email list, there's a lot of information that these ladies are like packing in here. So I'm going to make the transcript. You know, a couple weeks ago, I kind of did this with the ultimate guide to industry events, where I sent you an email with the transcript, and the transcript is on an AI. So if you have specific questions, you can ask the AI that. I'm going to do the same thing for this episode. So if you're already on my email list, you're going to get that in your Friday email that comes out so that you can have access to this. And if you have any other follow-up questions, or you just want to re-listen to the episode, you can go ahead and do that through that link, because there's a lot. Like, this episode is going to pack a punch on different resources and also different tips. So if you are multitasking, which I know a lot of you do, I also do this when I'm podcasting. This is going to be a really great one to like take a lot of notes. And that's why I want to add that transcript resource for you. So in case you're not able to take notes now or want to come back to the episode, that's available to make things easier. So we're just going to go back to back to back on everybody's little snippets. The snippets are like anywhere between like 3 and like 6 minutes, so really super short, and then I will come back at the end to wrap us up. So see you soon. Let's dive in.
Hey y'all, I'm Marcy Minsterman, your No BS travel advisor, horse rider, coach, and mentor. My tip for you today is to VIP your clients. It does not matter if they are celebrating. I encourage you to reach out to the property, the transportation, the tours, everyone you can to elevate the service experience that you provide, as well as connect with and partner with the vendors that you have hired to do their vacation. I do this simply by making sure I have the emails needed, and I email every email I can find. First of all, so concierge, the sales service department, the front desk. If it is a tour or transfer company, I email their info line or my BDM. So when you do this, make it very specific. Make sure your subject line has your guest names, confirmation number for that particular item. Like if it's the hotel, use the hotel confirmation, not necessarily your TO confirmation. If it's the transfer company, same thing. Make sure you reflect what the confirmation number is. And then open up the email in the local language. This means if you are messaging someone in Mexico, you open the email in Spanish. If you are sending a note to an Italian property, you make sure that you say hello, how are you in Italian before you dive in to the email. The next step of the email is to introduce yourself. Whether this is the first time or the 10th or the 100th time you have worked with this supplier, make sure they know who you are, and then make sure they know who your clients are by notating the client names, the confirmation number again, how long they're going to be there, the exact dates. Then make your ask. Be very gentle in your approach and say, I acknowledge how busy you are. So if it's spring break, don't just go into an ask. Say, I'm so excited to partner with you again for spring break. And I know it's a crazy time of year for you. And I know you're working long hours. I so appreciate how you take care of our mutual guests. And then the ask, which is, I would like to VIP my clients. They are traveling because it's either a birthday or it's an anniversary, or it's just because they need to get out of the cold. And we just tell them the truth about why they're traveling. Then you ask for the thing. Okay. So if you're like, I'm hoping you can put a nice bottle of champagne or some fruit in their room upon arrival. If this is something you're willing to do alongside a note from me, I have attached the note that you can print off and put in their room. Or you can just type up something short and sweet that they could write on a card to put in their room. After that, say thank you so much in the local language. I appreciate our partnership so much, and sign off respectfully and your name, your information. Do this 7 to 10 days prior to departure. This builds relationships with the resort and with your client at the same time. It is so nice for your client to show up and feel like we've been on this long travel day and we get here and there's a little treat in the room. Now, this is not a perfect thing. It's not going to be 10 out of 10, but I recommend doing it for every single client and see how those relationships build over time with the resorts who are willing to do this for you. They may also send you back a menu to choose from. And as long as it's under $25, I'm usually willing to purchase something to put in the room. Now, a lot of agents also ask me, what if I find out they didn't do it? Or how do I find out if they did? I'm going to be honest, I'm very laid back. So I'm always in conversation with my clients via text when they're traveling. So I might say, hey, did the treat that I ordered arrive for you? Especially if I paid. Okay. And if I didn't pay, I might just say, has there been any surprises this week in your room? But if you want to know, you have to ask. Okay. And if they say, no, I haven't really seen anything, or we got this fruit bowl, I don't know what it was from, they don't always know that it's from you. And sometimes the resort will even put a note from like the manager instead. I don't get upset about this stuff. I don't freak out over it. I'm just happy if they receive their little treat. I will tell you, this works for me about 90% of the time. And my clients absolutely love it. So definitely either partner with a vendor like Ultimate Jet Vacation who does this for you, because they do, or make sure you have it in your service workflow for those 2 weeks prior to departure. It could really elevate just even the most basic all-inclusive vacation to a whole new echelon when they feel so treated as soon as they arrive. I hope this helps.
Hi, I'm Lori from Explore More Mexico, and I work with travel advisors every day who are selling incredible trips to the Mexican Caribbean. I run a free Facebook group called The Resorts of the Riviera Maya, where I share Mexican Caribbean news, updates, site inspection reports, photos, and much more on a daily basis. I have paid masterclasses about the Mexican Caribbean and a must-do free Mexican Caribbean one-on-one masterclass that every advisor who is selling this destination has to do. Lastly, I have a Mexperts membership that is full of resources to help advisors learn about, sell, and promote the Mexican Caribbean and look like rock stars while doing so. If I had to share one tip that will help you deliver truly unforgettable experiences to your clients this year in the Mexican Caribbean, it's this. Encourage them to get off the beaten path, which requires that you too get off the beaten path with the suppliers that you recommend. Now, let me be very clear. All-inclusive resorts are fantastic, and we have some of the best ones in the world here in the Mexican Caribbean. They're easy, they're comfortable, they're reliable, and they absolutely serve a purpose. But here's the reality. It's really hard to create a unique or wow experience for your clients if they never leave the front gates of the resort. This is where you, as a travel advisor, can completely change the game. When clients do venture out, many end up on the same large bus tours, the same crowded attractions, the same itineraries that hundreds or thousands of other travelers are doing that day. Long lines, big groups, rush timelines. Those experiences are fine, but they're rarely the ones that clients talk about years later. The experience they do remember usually come from going smaller and more local. This is where willing to go off the beaten path, not just with destinations, but with suppliers, makes all the difference. Smaller local operators tend to offer more personalized service, more flexible itineraries, more unique access, and fewer crowds. Instead of a 50-person bus, your clients might be with 6 or 8 people, or better yet, alone, as I highly recommend that you recommend private tours when budget allows. Instead of standing in lines, they're welcomed by name. And instead of feeling rushed, they're actually present and get to see exactly what they want for as long as they want. Very often, that off the resort experience becomes the best day of their entire trip. And I've even heard travelers say one of the best days of their lives. Here's the other important piece. You don't need to overwhelm clients with options. You just need to learn about a few unique off the beaten path excursions or experiences and then confidently recommend them. When you explain why something is special and why it's different from big name tours, why it's worth their time, clients will trust you and they'll lean in. The irony is that sticking with only the biggest, most well-known options often leads to the most generic experiences. But when you're willing to go smaller and more local and more off the beaten path, you help your clients avoid the crowds, feel more connected to the destination, and walk away with stories instead of just photos. That is how you elevate a great vacation into an unforgettable one. So yes, definitely sell the incredible resorts, but don't stop at the front gate because the magic often starts just beyond them.
Hi, Rita. It's Dana Zifizak. A good goal for 2026 is to not overthink your showing up in your clients' or potential clients' email inboxes. Now, a lot of people are very inconsistent with email marketing. It's the last thing on our to-do list, but I have to tell you, it is what built my own business, and I swear by it. People have opted in to hear from you with email marketing. Okay. Now, if you send them spam and junk, yeah, that's going to get you put into they're going to unsubscribe. However, if you're sending good content consistently, I'm talking about once or twice a month, maybe once a week, not every day, and you're not sending them promotion. It's content. It's interesting information. You have a lot of interesting insight to share. Put that in your email. I often tell agents when I'm coaching them, take something that worked really well on social media and put it into an email format. You can recreate the wheel. People need to see or hear things at least 7 times before they actually remember it. So use that to your advantage. If something worked really well on social, put it in an email, and vice versa. If you got a lot of response from an email you sent, maybe think of that as inspiration for a social post. The other place where agents overthink is in following up from outstanding quotes. Now, you think of the goal of our business is to make money, right? Is to book clients. So when you get a lead and then they answer your questions, you qualify them, you get a quote together, and then you hear nothing. Well, you did so much hard work to get that lead, all your marketing, all of that effort, the effort you put into a quote, And then so many times I hear agents saying, well, I send the quote and nothing happens. Well, aside from charging planning fees, which would definitely help with this, not everybody does, and that's not what this is about. It's more about if somebody has opted in to hearing from you, requesting a quote, giving you giving you the qualifying information, then you're doing them a favor by following up with them. Okay? Because sometimes people forget. Unlike us, where we get an idea for a trip and we've got it booked in 10 minutes because that's just how our brains are. But a lot of people out there don't have, that's not the first thing they're thinking of. They're thinking of 15,000 other things that are running through their heads. And you want to remind them, say, hey, remember you wanted to do this. It's okay to follow up with them and let them know. And if this trip is not on your radar now, or for whatever reason, let me know and I can put you on a list for next year. Go through and do a cleanup of your outstanding leads and ask them, hey, are you going to do this trip this year? Are you going to go next year? It's a good way to clean out from the past year, like so from 2025. If you have leads that never booked, it doesn't mean they might never book. It's good to circle back with them and say, hey, what's going on? What are we doing this year? All right. So don't overthink the marketing and don't overthink following up with people, because people need reminders. Think of how many reminders you need for the doctor's appointments. Okay. Now, sometimes they are a little much. I'm not saying text them every 2 days before the appointment, but it is nice. All right. Have a great year. Bye-bye.
Hey there, I'm Roz Rance and I'm the founder of Travel Agent Achievers. And when we talk about delivering ultra personalized, curated travel experiences in 2026, I think that there's one key mindset shift that every advisor needs to embrace, and that is this: that technology is here to support the experience, but human connection is going to complete it. So my first tip is to use technology to remove friction, not replace yourself, because too many advisors that I see are still spending hours and hours manually inputting information, they're recreating documents, they're doing repetitive admin tasks, and this drains energy. So tools like Travify or others that are really smart for clients and they're client-facing platforms, and you can also use them behind the scenes as well now. They do so many different things. They allow you to present itineraries, documents, and updates in a way that feels absolutely seamless, that feels polished and really intentional. And I know for my clients, they love this. They clearly see their journey, they know their plans, their details are in one place, and all of that builds trust. And trust is the foundation of personalization, in my opinion. So my second tip is to design your customer journey, not just the individual bookings, because personalization, it doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being really consistent. And that's where your customer journey comes into place. Have a think, if you haven't done this, about the moments that matter most: the first inquiry, the proposal, the pre-departure phase, the welcome home moment, all of the things that you do that make you really unique. Now, having these smart systems, they allow you to automate the predictable parts so that each of these touch points and every step throughout that journey, the client receives a thoughtful and very professional experience every single time. Now, even these sorts of things for you might be, that you send a pre-departure checklist or a timed message before travel or a post-trip follow-up that invites the client to give you feedback or reflect upon their trip. When those systems are in place, you're not scrambling. You're present, you are available. And that leads me to the most important tip of all for 2026. And that is that human connection is still the differentiator. AI and automation can get you, in my opinion, at the moment, to anywhere between 60 and 80%. Now, that's really powerful, but the final 20% is the parts that your clients are going to remember and they're going to talk about. That is human, that is emotional, and it's the advisor who remembers why this trip matters specifically to that client. It's the check-in before the big milestone journey. It's listening between the lines, not just responding to the brief as an order taker. In 2026, my opinion is that the most successful travel advisors won't be the ones that are using more tools. They'll be the ones that are using the tools intentionally so that they can have more space to connect, more space to guide, and more space to lead. So my final thought is this: let technology do the heavy lifting for you, let systems deliver consistency, and let you, yourself as the human, bring the empathy, the insight, and the care that no tool, no algorithm ever can. That's how personalized travel experiences are built. And we're talking about ultra-personalized or curated travel experiences. I think there's one very key mindset shift that every advisor needs to embrace, and that's this: technology supports the experience. Let me say that again. Technology supports the experience, but human connection is what's going to complete it. So use technology to remove friction, not to replace yourself. Don't spend hours manually putting information in, recreating documents, or any of those sorts of things. Be yourself. Clients really want to see the journey and make sure that you have an incredible experience with them. You've got this.
Hey, I'm Kate Thomas, founder of Travel Pro Theory, where I help travel pros leverage AI in their business to get more done in less time to grow their travel business. So I'm super excited to talk to you about hyper-personalization and curated experiences through the lens of AI. And I really want to talk to you about this because I think it's super easy to just write off AI as it's only generic or it's not able to assist with this type of task. But there's actually a lot of ways that we can leverage it without losing the human touch. And if you haven't heard me speak or teach about AI anywhere else, let me address that up front because I'm firmly on team AI cannot replace you, but it can work with you. It is a handy teammate. It speeds stuff up. It takes it off your plate. It's a tool. So you can get more done and spend more time in the human side of your business connected with your clients. So I only have a few minutes. Let's get into it. I'm going to rapid fire a few of my favorite ways to use AI to personalize more for your clients. First things first. Gamma. This is something I want you to go check out. It's an AI tool. It has a free plan. What it does is it creates quick presentations. It is not an LLM. It's not chat. It's not Claude, nothing like that. Okay. What it's going to do is create like a slide deck or web page, something presentable and fast. Here's how you're going to use it. If you get a supplier proposal that does not look great, the type of thing you would normally spend a few hours rebuilding in your Travelfire Access, no more. Now you're going to go and toss it into Gamma. It can quickly get it presentable. If you need a tutorial on this, I have a free one you can watch, okay? But it's also pretty intuitive. Now here's an extra tip. You're going to go beyond just putting in that supplier proposal, but add in some personal details about your client so that you can do a personalized intro, highlight things that they're really going to love. This is an easy way to get that hyper-personalized experience without spending a ton of time on it, all right? Now, another thing you can use Gamma for is just creating other assets. Think like a welcome guide. Say someone reaches out to you, you have your base welcome guide in there, go in, duplicate, and add a personalized welcome to them based on what they put in your intake form. That's an easy add that only gives a few minutes. Now we got to move on. Move on to LLMs, right? This is Claude, Chat, Gemini, and the like. I want you to start using the project style features across those. Now it's called different things. Chat and Claude, it's going to be called projects. Gemini, you're going to look for gems. They're all pretty similar, all right? And I can't dig into the full details of it here, but here's how you're going to use it. I want you to think of these as a folder. Start one for each client, and I want you to drop either into the knowledge base or into the chat area because they have memory across things like past itineraries, email threads where they've given you feedback, screenshots of text with relevant details or feedback about trips. I do need you to use common sense here on safety. Never, ever, ever give AI any sensitive client details, right? So no payment info, no passport details, right? Use your common sense here. You know what to not put in. But as you add in more about their itineraries and other things like that, you can start leveraging AI to help you learn more about your client. Think of it as just being able to talk to your client file, ask it questions. Think, based on everything you know about this client, what destination do you think they would love for their next trip and why? And review the output. Now you have ideas where you could pitch the next client, because we're not going to just wait for someone to reach out. You're going to go ahead and proactively shoot them a little email that was like, hey, thinking of you based on your last few trips that we've worked on. I was thinking you would love XYZ, this place and why, right? Or let's say, for example, that you get a client who reaches out for another new request, right? Before you go to send that off to your supplier, pop into that folder and be like, hey, what are some key details about this client that I should be sending my DMC? And see what it comes out. This is also where you're just like saving some notes about them. So things like, hey, remember they're gluten-free. Hey, they always ask for a self-drive, but they actually hate self-driving. So make sure you recommend a driver guide. Things like that really help. Now, also, if we haven't met before, you may not know I'm a DMC for Ireland and the UK. So Northern Leisure is the actual selling travel side of things. So let me tell you from a supplier's perspective, they absolutely want those extra details. And this is such an easy way for you to not have to hold all of this in your brain, or also go and reread all of their past stuff every single time, right? Building a folder for them within your AI of choice, right? So listen, I wish I had more time to give you more tips, but come along, give me a follow, find me on the gram at Travel Pro Theory. I would love to hear from you. So make sure to send me a message. But again, these are just a couple of ways that you can learn to lean on AI to really personalize things for your clients more without spending a ton of extra hours and without losing that human connection part of our business, which, let's be honest, is just the best part. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Hi, I'm Sahara Rose DeVore, the founder and CEO of the Travel Coach Network. We are a global platform that trains, educates, and certifies travel coaches all around the world. Travel coaches help people understand their why for travel and use travel as a tool for things like transformation, personal development, and reaching your goals and aspirations. My tips for travel advisors would be to focus on that pre, during, and post-trip phases. For the pre-trip, helping your clients understand their own why for travel. So really understanding what kind of questions to ask your clients beyond the typical logistics for the trip. So ask questions like, why do they want to travel? What are they looking to feel? How do they want to feel during their trip? What do they want their life to look like upon return from the trip? What is this trip calling you? Who is this trip calling you to be? What is going on in your life right now that is motivating you to want to go away, to want to escape, to want to be in a new environment? These are really important questions to help your ideal client pull to the surface, because then you can help them make better planning and booking decisions on where to go and what to do. So it's the why before the what and the where. Then during their trip, what kind of support are you providing them with? We as humans, we tend to resort back to our natural habits and routines, and mindset. So providing maybe accountability to help your clients stay on track with what they plan to do and the activities that they want and the experiences that they want. Maybe it is, for example, your ideal client is looking to go on a trip because they've recently lost a loved one, and they are looking to figure out, like, how do I navigate life? How do I navigate this grieving process? Who am I now? What is my purpose? How do I find joy and happiness? And instead of just escaping that environment and then returning to the same feelings and mindset, using this trip to become who they want to become and feel how they want to feel and get the answers and the clarity that they're really looking for. So maybe that means during the trip, they need to spend time alone reflecting, journaling, planning for their next steps, like asking themselves their own deeper questions of, what do I want out of this life? Like, why am I feeling this way? What could my next chapter look like? Maybe it is you provide certain exercises for them, exercises depending on your own interests and your own skills. So maybe you are interested in yoga or meditation or semantic movements or something else, art, creativity, and you help integrate that into your clients' experiences because it can help them reach whatever goals and feelings they're looking for. And then lastly, the post-trip integration. This is the real opportunity for transformation to occur. So how can you help your client take what they've learned and experienced during this trip and apply it to who they are when they return home, what their life looks like, their daily routine, their mindset, their relationships, their work life, their habits, their routines, whatever it is that you help them achieve, and whatever it is that they were looking to feel and get out of that experience, right? So it's all about this why for the trip and using this trip, helping your clients use this travel experience to better themselves and better their lives in some way. So that is my tip for you.
Hi there, I'm Stephanie Grice from Travify, and one thing we hear over and over again that truly elevates the client experience is simple but intentional check-ins. Think of check-ins before, during, and after the trip, and also paired with helpful resources along the way. Now, the good news is, in 2026, automation is everywhere. So that means you no longer have to rely on memory or sticky notes to remember who to reach out to each day with these check-ins. You can actually build these touch points into your workflow so they happen automatically and consistently for every single client. Now, what we see work best is advisors thinking about communication as part of the trip experience itself. That means setting up touch points, like a reminder well before departure to confirm tours, excursions, or dining reservations. Or maybe it's a pre-trip message just sharing packing tips or helpful prep information. Or it can even be something fun like a movie list, a playlist, a book recommendation to help clients get excited for their destinations. These small moments feel incredibly personalized to the client, even though you're not recreating them from scratch every time. Now, at Travify, we see advisors do this by building reusable task lists and workflows that they can apply to any trip inside their account. But this same strategy works whether you're using an itinerary tool, a CRM, or a combination of systems. The key, though, is creating these touch points once in your own voice and then letting automation handle the timing. Now, to get into some different ways to do this before, during, and after the trip, one of the big differentiators is communication during that trip. If your itinerary builder includes a mobile app, which Travify does, advisors can send check-in messages that land directly inside the client's itinerary experience. So these can be scheduled ahead of time, like a quick, "Hey, hope you arrive safely" message, or maybe a mid-trip check-in. But I will say one quick pro tip here. Always be mindful of time zones when automating these messages because you do not want to send a friendly reminder check-in at 3 a.m. your time or only to get the reply when it's middle of the day for your client. And that is something we have heard from advisors at Travify, so we definitely want to share that helpful tip there. But it's nice that you actually can set timing in all these automations, so that's a great thing there. But also equally important, but often overlooked, is also what happens after that trip. Now, we do hear all the time that advisors, they'll forget to follow up once clients return home. And that is such a missed opportunity. So set up a simple welcome home message, or give yourself a reminder to call them, or maybe a short feedback form. That all can go such a long way. This is the perfect moment to gather feedback, invite a review, or simply reconnect and start the conversation about what's next. And again, this can all be automated so it does not fall through the cracks. Now, many advisors also take this a step further by creating different automated workflows for different types of travel. So they might create a workflow for cruises, one for destination weddings, one for group trips, you name it. So the experience feels tailored without creating more work for themselves and for yourself. But the big takeaway here is this. Ultra-personalization in 2026 doesn't mean doing more manually. It means being intentional about when and how you show up and using automation to support that care, not replace it. Because when the clients feel supported at the right moments without having to ask, that's really when experience stands out. Now, if you don't have a software tool that can support this type of automated function, check Travefy out. You can always do a free 10-day trial at Travefy.com. And once you're in there, and if you're already a Travefy user, go check out Marketplace, because that's where you also can find already created workflows like I've been mentioning that you can just copy into your own account and use. So have fun setting up automations and really elevating your client's experience this year.
Hello, travel advisors. It's Angelique Johns with Wanderlux Collection, and I'm here today to share with you my tip for creating ultra-personal and curated experiences for your clients. So as a representation company, Wanderlux Collection represents hotels throughout Greece, France, Portugal, Italy, and Cyprus. And one of the things that's really important to me and my team is that we understand the hotels. So we have been to the hotels, we've stayed at the hotels, we've done activities around the hotels. And for this is where we can truly be your trusted partner and trusted resource for you. So when you're looking to create those personal and curated experiences, the biggest tip that I can say to you is reach out to us for information about the hotels, about the destination, and about things that your clients can do. As I've said, we have been to the properties, we've seen the rooms, we've stayed at the property. We've tried the restaurants and the spas. We understand the facilities. We've done different activities and excursions, and we can share all of this with you. So when you have a client that says, hey, I want to go to Greece and I want to stay at a property that has a beautiful sandy beach, and you know that that is really, really important to them, you can reach out to us and say, hey, what property do you have that has a great beach? Tell me about it. Tell me if there's food service at the beach. Is there drink service? Is it sandy? How many beach chairs are there? Is it expansive? Or is it a smaller beach? Or you have someone that is looking, to go to a different destination like Cyprus, and they want to know what there is to do there. We can tell you about the different things that they have to do there, from culture to biking to hiking to wine tasting. So getting all of that information that might appeal to your client, and having that from a trusted resource that has actually had boots on the ground in the location. So my best tip for you is to use us as a resource. Talk to us early on during the planning stage, and we can help, kind of steer you towards one hotel over another, adults only property versus a family friendly, a smaller property versus a larger property. We can help you with all of those questions that you may have, and that truly will create from the beginning a very personal and a very curated experience for your client. Thanks so much, and have a great day.
All right, so what did we think of those tips? Really packed episode. So again, I hope you weren't doing anything too distracting as you were listening to this one, but I would love your feedback, because did you like this style, this format? Did you like any of the particulars in particular and want to hear like another solo episode with them? Just hit the button in the show description that says send Rita your thoughts, and that'll send me your thoughts directly, so I can either keep doing more episodes like this, or maybe like have more interesting conversations with certain of the speakers that were on here, because I know you've heard some of them before. Some of them might be totally new to you. It has been a while since I've had some of them on the podcast, so maybe we'll have to have more solo episodes coming up, but I hope this was a really great one to really get you thinking too, as we're thinking about all the love and care this weekend coming up here on Valentine's Day, how you can really put together a custom, curated, hyper-personalized trip when it comes to planning those trips in 2026 and beyond. So super, super thankful to have you here. I'm going to link up everybody's information. So if there's someone in certain that you would like to follow up with, I'll link up everything in the show description. It will have everything that you need to complete this journey of this episode today. Thank you so much again for being here, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.